Hey everybody, my name is Cameron, your curious occultist, and I'm here to help people discover their hidden power. So today's video, we are going to talk about a very awesome magical tool called a grimoire. Now, a grimoire is basically a magic journal, or basically just a journal, to document and record our energy workings, our thoughts, our feelings, our practices, and we can put anything we desire into a grimoire and or journal. And I always kind of recommend people use a journal or grimoire or some sort of spell book to document what works when working with different kinds of energies and what doesn't work when working with different kinds of energies. Now, I myself have always been, as a kid, been fascinated with spell books, grimoires, old looking books. I love them. I think they're great. My personal grimoire, which I'll show you all here in a minute, is extremely big, extensive, detailed, and that's just kind of who I am as a person. But I also keep a journal separate from my grimoire that also helps me document which energetic practices work and which ones didn't have the best results. So it's kind of like a field guide when you're out testing and channeling different energies in and out of you and around you. So my grimoire, again, is I keep an elaborate book of the spells that have only worked, because I'm kind of, for myself, working on, sharing this family spell book as a legacy, as a way to helpfully understand my nieces and nephews how energy works, how to, manipulate and control energy, but also understand that there are some things out of your control. And my grimoire, like I said, again, is extremely extensive in what I decide to talk about. So now, like I said, I just mentioned a few minutes ago about also kind of recording in a journal what doesn't work and doesn't work separate from my grimoire. Because, again, sometimes I will do energetic practices and I'll have some components in the spell work or energy work that I'm doing. And I found that through testing from some of it, that some of it works and some of it actually doesn't. And I can use that notebook in combination with my grimoire to really analyze and study, again, what works and what doesn't work. Because sometimes, especially as human beings, we all have so much going on in our minds and our thoughts and our emotions that we might forget sometimes what components in energy work worked and which ones didn't. So I always use that notebook as a reference guide to be like, okay, what components worked in this spell and then what didn't. And then I use my grimoire again to write down only the spells that have worked and have been successful, have really had good results. So that way, if I need to have a permanent spell that I know worked, it's in the grimoire. If I need to refer to notes and take notes on anything, I have the journal. Now, that doesn't mean also that a journal can't be a grimoire, because again, I kind of think they go simultaneously together. And again, recording and writing stuff down really helps our memories in general. But we also, again, having the internet at our fingertips really does help. But it's also, again, kind of just going back and recording. And I feel like reading a lot of the times too solidifies things in our mind and things we're trying to remember, versus let me look this up again from multiple different sources. So actually, let me show you guys my grimoire that I use. So this is my grimoire. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty big and extensive. This is from Bram's Books. They have some of the coolest grimoires I've ever seen. But this one is mine, and I'll give you guys a little peek at the pages. and show you kind of how extensive I get. So yeah, there's spells in there, there's chakras, there's energy channeling, there's all sorts of stuff in here. There's Thump, the Tree of Life, yeah. So, and I hand write and hand calligraphy my own. Because again, I was like, if I'm going to have a grimoire or a spell book, I want it to be one of those old-fashioned, old-looking spell books. So that way, when my niece and nephew find it or discover it, they're like, oh man, Uncle Cam was that cool uncle who had the cool spell book with a whole bunch of different stuff. Now this also, again, is my journal for recording field notes. I like to record my energetic practices when I'm doing it because I find, again, some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. I'll write down different combinations of herbs and stones and different tools I will need to perform my spell work. And I will analyze it and go back and forth and write a whole bunch of stuff in it, including notes, including, again, what I think works, what it doesn't work, energies that I kind of felt, feelings, thoughts, emotions, all of that. And another basically thing that's important about a grimoire or a spell book is that it's a magician's or a practitioner's cookbook. It's something that we can reference back to our energy practices that worked and didn't work. And we can learn, evolve, and channel, and also manipulate energy in conjunction with our willpower, so that way we can produce results in our reality. Because magic basically is energy. And when we know how to work with the energies inside us, with as well as the energies around us, we can accomplish so many beautiful, different, great things. We can also cause destruction, but that's in another video, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so using a grimoire or a notebook or a recording book for your energetic practices really helps. It's super beneficial. It gets you to also release some of your thoughts, feelings about different things as well. I find personally, for me, that writing is so cathartic. It's relaxing. It allows me to release my thoughts and emotions onto the paper. So that way, when I read it and I, do sensory memory recall or anything that goes back to certain memories of thoughts and feelings that I was thinking and or feeling, it really allows me to recall things I need to recall, and allows me, again, to release a lot of the stuff I'm feeling. I actually feel like writing is super grounding too. And I have a whole other video where I talk about grounding and how cathartic grounding is. But writing things down, especially in a notebook and in a grimoire, it also, again, it's just channeling energy, releasing energy, getting us to remember things. I love writing stuff down. So for all my writers out there, and I understand that everybody's not a writer or likes writing, but for my writers out of there, like, I'm sure you guys can all relate. It feels so good to release things through writing. And for me, like I said, that also kind of is, even when we're talking about grimoires, that also doesn't mean that you can't keep a digital grimoire now. We have technology, we have all this use with technology. I also keep a digital copy of the spells in my grimoire, so that way I make sure, just in case anything happens, because life can be so unpredictable, that I have multiple copies of my grimoire and the spells that I've done. Because part of the things I'm trying to do, especially in this lifetime and with the energy I'm working with, is to leave a little bit of a legacy, especially within my family, because I'm the only practitioner in my family, even though it runs in my family line of being witches, magicians, warlocks, yeah, all of it. it runs in my family. So I'm the one who's kind of like breaking the tradition and doing something different. And I would love to leave that legacy behind, especially with my grimoire. Because one of my fantasies, especially about this too, I want to be that kind of mysterious uncle that has the kind of like cool Victorian house with the spell book up in the attic that we find in the trunk, and it's this cool mystery. And that's just something I want to do for myself. But yeah, so the importance of a grimoire or some just kind of recording notebook of your energetic practices really helps you as far as a reference guide to, again, figure out what works, what doesn't work, and you can implement it and change it and make it as detailed or as simple as you would like. There is no one correct way to make a spell book, a grimoire, because it's basically just a journal, is what it is. But if this helps people, again, please like, share, subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. I can't wait to share with you guys so many more of the magical tools that we can use to help our energetic practices and help us grow and evolve as people, because that's what I'm here to do. So hope you like, share, and subscribe, and I will see